Hello, and welcome to the 193rd edition of Beer Issues. My name is Matt Bruckert, and I'm coming to you live here from Casa de Bruckert. We're going to be having another world-class beer. Today's beer is from Southern Tier Brewing, the Samoa This. All right, so I'm very excited about trying this beer. Number one, because to me, I love a good Girl Scout cookie, and my favorite would be the Samoa. So this is a dessert type beer, so we're going to treat it as a dessert type beer and kind of get going and pour it and see what we think here. Okay, I'm going to pour it kind of hard to try and get a little head on there so we can release some of the flavors. Not too terribly much carbonation, but you got the big bubbles. So this beer clocks in at 95 out of 100. So it's rated as a world-class beer. It's just above outstanding in the world-class category. And I'd have to agree, Southern Tier makes some great dessert beers. I've had the Thin Mint, the Girl Scout cookie one. Their tiramisu, I think, is the one that I think is just absolutely phenomenal. Oh, no, it's the creme brulee. The creme brulee, that's the one. And my wife, Jean, loves the creme brulee. Now, I've never had this one, but I'm very excited about it because I love a good Samoa. I love coconut. I love coconut in beer, and I love it. Now, this is an American Imperial Stout, okay? So meaning it's boozy. It clocks in at 10% alcohol by volume, so this is nothing to mess around with. This is like an after-dinner type beer at 10% alcohol. You won't want to drink too many of them, obviously. So let's go ahead and talk about this. Now, the color you're going to see is a dark brown, almost black color. It's super dark brown. It's hard to tell in the video here probably, but you do get an off-white head, which is usually the sign of a good quality Imperial, okay? So let's smell it. And I put this in this nice red cypress cup because red cypress made a beer called Slice, which we've done a video on before, which is their German chocolate Imperial Stout. And it had a lot of coconut in it. So I figured we'd put it in this glass just to commemorate that good beer that we had done a video on before. So I'm going to kind of swirl this around and get some smells here. Ooh, right off the bat I get a chocolatey vanilla caramel. It's definitely got a sweetness to it. I'm not tasting or smelling the coconut as much as I thought I would on this. I mean, I smell some coconut, but it's not near as pronounced. You're getting actually more of the chocolate, really a nice vanilla. Roasted malts. And then you do get the coconut. It's just not as heavily as pronounced as I would have thought, but definitely a nice smell. So let's waste no time. Let's go ahead and dig in and see how the taste compares. Oh, that is nice. Now I see why it's considered world class. The nice thing I'm going to say about this, even though it's a sweet dessert type beer, you can still tell it's a beer. It is, it's got a nice, caramely, chocolatey, coconut flavor like a Samoa or like an Almond Joy almost. But you can still get the taste of the stout in the beer, which is what I appreciate. And I think that's why the Southern Tier dessert beers are so popular and rank so high, is they don't over sweeten them. Even though this is sweet, don't get me wrong, this isn't something you want to pound by the poolside, but the flavors of the beer don't overpower the beer to where you can't recognize it as a beer, if that makes any sense. Oh, It's just delicious. Um, and I would still consider this, even though some of these dessert beers we get, they're just, you can't hardly recognize them as a beer. This you would recognize as a beer, and then you could pull the different flavors that make it the Samoa out of it, with the chocolate, the caramel, just overall nice flavor. You get like a bready type taste in there. And a pronounced vanilla flavor. This, I think, Southern Tier, and I can honestly say I've never had a bad Southern Tier beer. I am a big fan of Southern Tier. So if you ever see anything Southern Tier, go ahead and grab it, because the odds are it's going to be a great beer. So they do hold this Blackwater series. I think the Blackwater series, I believe, is all the dessert ones with the creme brulee, the thin mint, which is their I don't think they call it thin mint, but it's something along those lines. I think they have a tiramisu. There's a whole selection of these dessert beers, but it does list it, right on here. Beer made with Himalaya sea salt, and I did taste the salt in there. I was actually thinking about that. I thought I tasted salt. It's kind of, the salt goes good with the caramel, chocolate, and caramel flavors added. But just a super job again by Southern Tier, bringing a dessert, a wonderful cookie into a beer, but not taking away from the beer. So the beer is still there. It's just the flavors that are in there. And when I say it's not, overly sweet, I mean, it's still sweet, but it's not to the point that you don't, just recognize it as a beer, like I said. So definitely an outstanding job again. I give it a very high rating. I'll have to agree with the world class for a dessert beer. I mean, not something I could sit around the pool and pound poolside, but definitely after a nice dinner, this would be a nice treat after dinner. So if you've enjoyed this, make sure you tell your friends about Beer Issues and how much fun we're having drinking beer and talking about great beer. And if you want any cool gear, like Beer Issues gear, like hats or t-shirts, phone cases, make sure you go to shop.beerissues.com. And as my wife likes to say, I have beer issues.